My name is Gafrilatif Aviandi Putra Tanta.
And I'm Rachel Christie.
My name is Dionisius Albertus Leonardo. Dear Sir and Madam, good afternoon. I am very happy today to have the opportunity to be present in front of all of you. In the next 30 minutes, I will explain to you an operating system that will help you manage employee data quickly, easily, and informatively.
Approximately 2 weeks ago, we were told to create an information search of an analytical skill about the operating system. So our group took that chance to not only learn more about the operating system itself, but also which is the superior type of operating system when it comes to programming. Because in the end, we want to become a programmer. So after looking around the internet, hearing people's opinions, and also reading some books, we found out that Linux has the edge over Windows when it comes to programming. But before we go into that, we should talk about the backgrounds. So, what is the operating system? The operating system, or OS in short, is a liaison between the user, which is you, and computer hardware, which is the PC itself. Before OS, people used analog signals and digital signals. For example, analog signals were like human voices and also thermometers, while digital signals are digital phones and computers. Now, Linux itself is a version of Unix operating system, the original ancestor of Linux. Unix is a command-driven operating system in which the user has to type in commands at the computer console in order to operate the computer. Now, Ubuntu Linux is one of the most popular Debian-based Linux distributions, lately among open source fans around the world. Ubuntu's success lies in its good stability and user-friendliness. Now let's go into the basic theory. Now, the operating system is one of the software that is responsible for or controls the work of hardware and runs applications or software in the computer system. In other words, the operating system is a system that controls basic operations and ensures the system in the computer can run properly. The computer and its system can only function in the presence of the operating system unless the computer is booting up. The functions of the operating systems are security, control over system performance, job accounting, error detecting aids, coordination between other software and users, memory management, processor management, device management, and finally, file management.
Problem analysis. First, definition of Linux Ubuntu. Ubuntu is a Linux distribution based on Debian and composed mostly of free and open source software. Ubuntu is officially released in 3 editions. The first is desktop, second is server, and the third is core for Internet of Things, devices, and robots. All the editions can run on the computer alone or in a virtual machine. 2. History of Linux Ubuntu. Linux, computer operating system, created in early 1990 by Finnish software engineer Linus Torvalds and the Free Software Foundation. While still a student at the University of Helsinki, Torvalds started developing Linux to create a system similar to Minix or Unix operating system. In 1991, he released version 0.02, version 10 of the Linux kernel. The core of the operating system was released in 1994. About the same time, American software developer Richard Stallman and the FC5 made efforts to create an open source Unix-like operating system called GNU. In contrast, To Torvalds, Stallman, and the XCF started by creating utilities for the operating system first. These utilities were then added to the Linux kernel to create a complete system called GNU or Linux, or less precisely just Linux. First released in 2004, Ubuntu is a free and open source Debian-based operating system and Linux distribution. This operating system is built using the Debian infrastructure and consistent of a server desktop and Linux operating system.
Next, we got Linux Ubuntu features. Number 1, Office software. Number 2, an open source operating system. Number 3, email. Number 4, web browsing. Number 5, photos. Number 6, videos. Number 7, gaming. Number 8, a whole world of apps. Number 9, backed by Canonical. Number 10, no antivirus. Number 11, hardware auto configuration. Number 12, software repositories. Number 13, multiple desktops. Number 14, SSH client. Next, we got conversion between Linux Ubuntu 20.04 LTS and Windows 10. Ubuntu is an open source operating system. Meanwhile, Windows is a paid license operating system. Handling of Ubuntu is not easy. You need to learn a lot of commands. Meanwhile, in Windows 10, handling and learning part is very easy. Ubuntu it is purely an operating system for programming purposes because it supports almost all of the major programming language. Meanwhile, Windows can also be used for other things and is more versatile, especially when it comes to gaming. Ubuntu kernel type is more monolithic. Meanwhile, Windows 10 kernel type is hybrid. In Ubuntu, your data privacy is higher because no corporation owns it. In Windows 10, it collects a lot of private data. Ubuntu has a centralized application installation, which is called Software Center. In Windows 10, this kind of feature is not present. Ubuntu has a lower hardware requirement, meaning that even if you have a low-end computer, you can still run a task. Meanwhile, in Windows 10 has a higher hardware requirement and cannot run if you do not meet its minimum requirements. That's all for today. Thank you so much for all of your attention to our group presentation. Have a good day.